Hello, Eric. Welcome to Spain. It's a pleasure to have you here. Okay, and we are going to take advantage of your visit to ask you a few questions about your wonderful market, transportation, and infrastructures.
Well, excellent.
Tiny thing.
Yeah, it's a small thing here at WSP. No, I appreciate being able to be here and the great hospitality as everyone's shown me so far. As I said, it's great to really sit down with the team and get to understand kind of the details. And as you said, in transport and infrastructure, it is the biggest piece of what we do here at WSP, and we really are the world leader in it as well. So it's a great place to be, but at the end of the day, it's really made up of our local teams who really deliver. Because as you know, in WSP, for us, local delivery is really important, and local empowerment is important. So being able to understand the nuances and connecting with the teams is really important. So for me, being out here and getting this opportunity is great.
Thank you. First question. Infrastructures, transportation, it's, let's say, is perhaps one of the oldest markets. It's been there for a long time. And it's always thinking about ups and downs in the market. We have trends, we have things. How is the current situation globally? I'm talking globally, then we can go directly to any geography special. But now, how is the global concept? How is the investment? How is the market in general?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And as you said, it's very local, our business, but since the pandemic, there's actually been a lot of global key drivers which have come into the transportation infrastructure space. So we've seen coming out of the pandemic, more and more focus around the fact that we need to decarbonize our industry as a whole. Originally it was really on the users and the use case, but now today what we're seeing is the whole industry is looking at embedded carbon, which is a huge challenge. So everyone knows what we need to do, which is get to zero, but how do we get there? Because the three biggest industrial emitters of carbon is steel, concrete, and asphalt, and everything we build is out of those materials. So a really big challenge in front of us in terms of that. We're seeing, coming out of the pandemic, a lot of areas are putting in some stimulus spending to help the economy. And they're actually doing it with a different approach, which is really looking at how do we build back better, with a real focus on how do we examine infrastructure, not just for the economic benefit of a country, but actually infrastructure for social benefit. So we're seeing a lot of these trends kind of occur around the world. And of course, the technological changes that are happening with our tools and our ability to be able to work in real time in 3D, BIM, and now digital twins. So all of these trends are kind of happening all around the world. And that coupled with certain other ones that are more problematic for us, such as labor shortages we're seeing in all developed countries, labor shortages because we have the baby boomers that are retiring. And so all of these trends are coming together to really create, which generally a pretty robust marketplace, but it's one that's changing very quickly. So our clients more than ever actually need us to help them with things that were less conventional, such as program management, such as more advisory services. So, our base services are still very much in demand, but in fact, how do we help our clients figure out what the future looks like? I was at a conference in Bilbao just down the highway yesterday, and we had a great discussion with the panel that, in the old days, everyone kind of knew what the business as usual business case looks like. Today, they don't. And so, we have this great opportunity. So we're going to be going through this whole, how do we change our infrastructure to be decarbonized? How do we keep it in a good state of repair? Because in many of our geographies, we're seeing that the infrastructure that was built post-World War II has reached its expiry date. So a big challenge just in asset management. And then the water piece is actually something that has been underinvested for years. Transportation in generally has been seeing a lot of love in terms of money, but water is a big place where we're seeing tons of opportunity for growth. So overall, robust market, especially when you take into account the shortage of manpower there is to be able to go out there and deliver.
You pick up a great point, which is the, let's say, the refurbish of the new infrastructure, the programs of maintenance and other things, especially in Europe. You are now in a tour through Europe. And okay, we all know the US bill on infrastructures there, but now we have a trend of, there are a lot of huge programs in Germany to refurbish a lot of bridges. There are tons of programs in entire Europe to this change. And you mentioned two very interesting things, because now we have to repair in some way these all infrastructures, and at the same time to take care about the sustainability, carbon footprint, and ever. This is a key challenge because typically we have to combine two new targets, which are new for the industry.
No, absolutely, and it's a big thing that we're actually doing, and we've been accredited now in the UK under this PASS 2080, which allows us to go through and do carbon accounting on our projects, which is the first step. We're also working with FIDIC. Actually, we're working with them to help put together a global way of counting carbon in our projects. So there, as you said, there's going to be entirely new ways that we're doing our projects, lots of challenges. Europe's really leading from a regulatory standpoint where more and more of this needs to occur in the projects. But as you said, it's going to ask us to think about our projects differently. And as we rehab, the number one thing we have to ask ourselves is how can we reuse infrastructure that's there? So we have to really start looking into how we get more clever on rehabilitation. Because to tear down and start new often can be easiest, but it's not the right solution today. So it's actually going to be more challenging solutions, I think, than we've seen in the past, because we really have to see how we take a piece of infrastructure that may have been created for one use, how do we readapt it, how do we change it? So it's really going to ask us to be more clever and more adaptive in terms of what we do.
Absolutely. I was 3 weeks ago, I think, in the FIDIC conference in Singapore. I'm very lucky. I'm the chair of one of the committees. And this was a key topic for everybody, because even when you add the geography gap between one another country or region or even continent, and how is the different approach in these places, add more and more complexity to this question, because it's not the same targets, or let's say, targets and objectives in any place. It's not the same to develop some infrastructure in Africa or in Asia, in America and Europe, and different approaches, different skills, very good conversations in that.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is even in the Middle East and Asia and everywhere, we're seeing everyone's on the journey. So everyone knows we have to get there. It's kind of a funny thing, because everyone knows we have to get there. Everyone knows what the destination is, which is zero. Just no one knows the road in between.
Yeah.
So I think actually for people like us who are engineers, designers, planners, it's exciting times, because often in our career, we're doing things that are very, been more standardized, have been done before. This gives our people a creative ability to completely think outside the box and deliver differently, because no one knows what the solution is going to be at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Fun things more than the repeated questions. Okay. Let me move to the markets. Okay, we have highways, we have rails, we have aviation, airports, we have water. You mentioned water. I would like to ask you about one of them, because I think that at least in Europe is perhaps the more important, in addition to the water, is the rail one. It seems that everybody, okay, because their sustainability and good managed about the climate change and all questions, rail is really the major investment right now.
Yep. No, and in fact, it's great you asked me about rail, because if you look historically at WSP, our T&I mix, our biggest sector for since the beginning has been highways and roads. Today it's rail. So last year, for the first time, our rail revenues have surpassed our road and highway revenue. And that trend's just going to continue. We're seeing it everywhere in the world, that rail is seeing investment like never before. Literally, the last time you saw a rail boom like this is at the dawn of industrialization. So rail has a huge investment cycle. And in many places, parts of the rails network have not been touched in 50, 70, 100 years. So a lot of opportunity to rehab. But yeah, railways, as we're saying, decarbonization, there's two pieces to it. There's the infrastructure itself, but then it's how do we decarbonize the users? And obviously rail is a great way to move lots of people cleanly, efficiently. And so yeah, rail is definitely back everywhere. And then urban rail as well. So, trams, metros, commuter rail are all also really big projects that we're looking at. I was just in France last week, and they've made an announcement where they want to put a regional express rail services even around the smaller cities. Germany's been a big program that's going through that as well. So we're seeing this everywhere. In the Netherlands, they're also looking at the biggest rail investment in over 100 years. So rail is definitely a big one. And what I like about the rail piece as well is it touches all parts of WSP. So we have the infrastructure piece, but they're stations, so that brings in our property and buildings pieces. And then, of course, like all projects, there's an environmental piece, but even our power and energy, because most of these are electrified railways now, it brings in all of these pieces of our portfolio into one project. So rail is great for us as well because it really touches the entire portfolio.
Let me move to historically, in this market, all the companies like WSP has been pursuing projects, okay? And we were more or less struggling to get good projects, okay, good investments, they are good clients. Now I think that we dedicate almost the same time to look for projects than to look for people.
Yeah.
It's like a change of mentality for you, for me, people of our age,
Yeah.
looking for, okay, it's a different market right now. There's a shortage of talent globally. You have mentioned about a lot of investment in rail, in water, and whatever. How do you feel? We know how we feel in Spain. We know how we feel in Europe. How do we feel globally? I think that it's even worse than here, the situation that we have in some countries.
No, some markets it really is more acute, but we're feeling it pretty much everywhere. There is some countries which are developing that have a different age pyramid, but pretty much all developed countries, if I can use that term, what happens is their age pyramid is working against us. And also the amount of people that have gone through things like civil engineering in our fields, planning, et cetera, is been less sexy. So people have been going to IT and computers. So the amount of graduates goes down, and now the amount of retirees are going up. So it's a big issue. I mean, as I said, it's more acute in some places. I was in Australia a few months ago, and clients are coming to me saying, how can we help you get more people? So I mean, it's really bad when our clients are asking that question. So for us, it's a big piece, and I think the solution is multifaceted. One is technology, as I said, is changing quickly. I think that can help us. It's not going to solve everything, but the other piece is global collaboration and using our complementary resource centers. So how can we leverage our resources? Because as a whole WSP, even if we're really busy, there's always small reserves of capacity throughout the organization.
That's a great opportunity for the people. Like we were talking before about, we have working in more than 55 countries globally from Spain. And that's a great asset. When you are incorporating a company like us and have the opportunity to work so global, it's a great advantage for the people who really want. And another point that I would like to highlight is this new approach to the projects that you mentioned is, for me, it's less and less repetitive.
Yeah.
Okay, the project, and it's more new approach, new things that are more attractive for the people, I think, from the young people that more repetitive work in the projects.
No, and also I think young people, the fact that we're on this decarbonization journey excites them.
Yes.
Whenever I talk about decarbonization stuff, I see the younger generation, they want to figure it out faster than I think anyone else. So yeah, as you said, I think that's definitely something that kind of attracts. And I think WSP, with our strong earth and environment, transportation infrastructure, property and building portfolio, we're really at a unique position to be able to really influence that change.
Thank you. Let me just conclude and I don't want to take more time from you. We are in Spain. We all know that the Spanish contractors, concessionaires are a big part of the global market right now. How's your perception from a global point of view about the Spanish market evolution? How is the influence of the Spanish contractor and consultancy companies globally? How's your perception of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because, I mean, the Spanish contractors, obviously, 2008, 2010, kind of just landed all across a lot of our geographies, especially in the Anglo-Saxon world. And, a lot of them have actually now do much more work in the US or Canada than they do actually back here in Spain. So we've seen a lot of these contractors change and evolve. I would say at first there was a pretty big culture clash. And, unfortunately, we have, in a number of our markets like Canada and the US, some legacy legal challenges that have continued around that, which I think have soured people a little. But what I've seen is as these contractors have kind of grown up in these markets, they're starting to get a maturity. So I think it's working together with teams like yourselves in Spain who understand the kind of culture issue, but as well, we're noticing that they're hiring more and more locally, right? I mean, when they first came in, it was a lot of people from Spain. Now it's a good mix. So I think they're going to continue to be big players in the marketplace, and they actually win a lot of work. So for us, it's partners we have to figure out the best way to work with. And as I said, in some geographies, it's been more difficult than others, and it's really a journey that we've got to continue. But I mean, we're seeing a lot of success, for example, with Acciona in Australia, and we've been delivering a lot of work. We're currently working with Acciona on 2 big bids in Canada, with Ferrovial and FCC on other bids as well. So, it's like anything. We've got to always make sure that we've got the right communication, and I think having a team here in Spain is a big benefit for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric, for your time. It's been a great pleasure, and to know what do you think and your thoughts about the market. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. It's been great.
Thank you.